break. Ebobisse! Chance to stretch the legs out for Martinez. Palencia! Well, they're asking for players to put their hand up to score goals. Nathan Ordaz has been that guy.
What is going on? Section 128 LAFC. This is Los Angeles. We are live once again with our weekly show, joined by Eric Holstrom, my co-host. I want to call you, but I also have someone that is almost like a co-host, and this is Gaston, who's been joining us for a very long time in our conversations and join us today for the first time here on Section 128. Welcome to our show. You are again an old voice, but very good to have you back, sir.
Well, thank you, Celso, Eric. It's always a pleasure talking about LAFC, and even more if it's with you guys. I've been missing this for a while, so thank you for the opportunity, and I hope we can have a great talk as we usually do.
Now, Eric is for the first, second week now in Oklahoma broadcasting. This time, he's got his internet set. Still going through the motion of setting his area. But how are you doing, Eric? It's good to see you, buddy.
Good to see you too. Yeah, I see everybody in the chat. And disclaimer on this: I usually spend a lot of time in the chat, but I have my phone. I forgot my computer at work, so I'm not going to be able to get in the chat today. But I'll try to comment on that as I see it. Otherwise, to your questions, also, I'm doing great. It was a very nice game, even if it was against second to last place Houston. And man, to beat the current last place team is going to require an absolutely special effort of being terrible. So the second to last place Houston is about as bad of a team as we're going to face this year. We played good, but we'll see how it goes. So all in all, got to be happy after 3 points.
Yeah, man, and that's like I said to you. It was, it was at home, and I had a sense it was going to be a shutout and everything. But look, before we go any forward, it's worth mentioning it is Cinco de Mayo, so I'm going to crack my beer here from the 805 to the 805. I apologize for saying the show is out of Southern California. It's no longer from there. We have one guy in Oklahoma in the middle of the country. I am basically in Central Coast. And we are joined by a South American, which has been, a fan of this club for a very long time, has seen a lot of Uruguayans, at the club. But I finally guess what, Gaston? Guess what? I finally get to say there's a Brazilian.
Oh, man.
Oh, he's got the Igor Jesus.
I was going to get a Igor Jesus jersey. But, man, how you been? It's been a while since we talked. I think last time I talked to you, but you were kind of like, we were just talking about Kiki Oliveira. But now we have to talk about Igor Jesus, which is the best Latin player in this team, if I may say. But what do you see? What do you think of this season so far? It's been a while since we talked.
Yeah, well, I mean, if I had to make a short recap of the season, is the roller coaster we've always been through. The same disappointing results we've always been to in each season, so basically nothing new. But at least we have new faces. We are kind of in a rebuild, and we're setting the first stones for the next season, where I think we're gonna be as competitive as we should always be again, with the new coach, with the new possibly coaching staff. But at least we're seeing glimpses of great football, like the Ordaz goal in the last game. It was a great build-up play. And I must say that ever since we lost to Miami in that choking job, we've been playing great. We've been showing great signs. And it's a great time to be growing up in our confidence, in our play, because we may have a really important game against America in less than a month. So it's the perfect time to be picking up rhythm and basically getting to our best. the best we can. So yeah, I'm happy right now. If you asked me this question like a month ago, I would be fuming. But yeah, as of now, I'm good with the team. To be
We are
honest.
riding a 4-game loseless streak, I like to call
Yeah.
it. And whatever that means, it's good. It's good not to lose, no matter how that comes. But the schedule will get significantly harder now with a midday game in Seattle after what it's going to be a really tough time in Vancouver. We'll talk about that game. But before we go forward, I have to talk about with Eric, particularly about something that is probably very different for you, Eric. You got to watch this game at home and not at the stadium. And me too. I actually did not get to go to this particular game. I had some other commitments, but I tuned my TV on. And again, I'm not trying to bash LAFC or anything, but it seemed like the stadium was about 3/4 full. And I'll tell you this, man, like I had my tickets for sale for $17 at some point, buddy. And they did not move for 1 day and a half. I was shocked. What used to be a not expensive, take your family to the game experience, it seems to me that it's no longer that. So talk to me about first not being present at the game, which you've been such a committed fan and a supported season ticket holder, but also, the look at the stands. It looked a little down, man. I remember going to Houston and having a lot more energy on games.
Yeah, I mean, luckily for me, I got my boy Jay in the chat, so he took my tickets off me. He was we've been to plenty of games together, but yeah, it was a little strange. This is the first home game of the season that I wasn't at. Even with the preseason games, I'd go to those. So I'm already looking at flights. I'll be back to another one soon. But looking at the stands, it was definitely not a full house, and I think a lot of the fans have been pretty disappointed with how the team is playing. I mean, we're a team with a DNA of winning and competing, and we're just not committing like that at this point right now. So, the team will pull it together, and even with that, my level of support, it's like I haven't even thought about selling my tickets yet because I'm kind of in denial, and at some point, I'm going to make a lot of these games back. It's not a long flight.
Sure.
Yeah, I'd be there if I could. What do we say? For good or for bad, las buenas y los males. So
Por las
Yes,
buenas
sir.
y las malas, por las buenas y las malas. This
1
is a very
point.
interesting thing about Los Angeles because there was a lot going on. The Clippers playoff game. I mean, I'm a Clippers fan, but I know I'm like in a very small island there. But the truth is, there's a lot going on in LA. And if things don't start, if you're not the freshest and you're not looking so good, people seem to tune out. So, I mean, Gaston,
Yeah.
are you as you've been a supporter for a while, and from afar, how do you feel the team's brand has evolved? And you kind of follow Peñarol for your whole entire life. I'm not saying it's ever going to be Peñarol, but talk to me about the aging of the LAFC branding, which a lot of people are like, they were in love with Vela, and now it's like a thing. You have to kind of keep supporting it no matter what. Por las buenas y las malas.
Yeah, well, we're not the new toy in MLS anymore, and we got accepted. We were the like the new club for a while. Many other franchises came in, but they didn't have the impact LAFC had. So we kind of were in that spot for a while. Now we're in the normal cycle for a game for a club. To be honest, I mean, there are very few teams in the world that fill up the stadium every single weekend, and I think that we need to go through these little tough times for the hardcore real fans to even love the club more and to feel even more identified, because if you stick with the club in these bad moments, you kind of get a stronger connection. So I think that's a benefit from it. And I think we're in a state where the hype has kind of passed, and the real LAFC supporters are here. The real people who like the club, the identity. Aside from Bella, it's also the post Bella era. We thought last season would be the first post Bella season. It wasn't, because Bella came back.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, it's normal, Celso. It's normal, and I think that once the season gets rolling and we start getting good results again, everything's gonna be back to normal because that's what LAFC is about.
Yeah,
Gotta win, right, Eric?
You
Tell
gotta
me
win,
about
of
that.
course.
yeah. It's
I
I
see
don't
a
know.
Vikings jersey. Speaking of not winning and keeping
Man,
loyalties.
leave my poor Vikings out of this.
Okay, my bad.
um, but one of the things, we look at, the parking keeps going up. All kind of the fans. I think the club's kind of been nickel and diming us a little bit, and so I think that's a little part of it. Also, ticket prices have gone up, but again, as you said, you just had your tickets, which I happen to know are basically in the seventh row near the end goal line, and for $16, and they wouldn't move. Like, that's that's not pricing anymore. It's just, maybe
That's
it's just
dumping.
other things going on, like the basketball playoffs. But I mean, that's kind of shocking, honestly, that for $16 somebody will want to sit in the 17th row of LAFC, or the seventh row.
Yeah, it is what it is. We're not here to throw peanuts at LFC. The peanut gallery is officially closed. It's just something we like to bring a different perspective because some of us are season ticket holders and we've been going to the stadium for a long time. It's good to see that you survived your first away home game, Eric. I was worried about you, but I
I'm
think
still
you
not
did all right.
canceling.
The
I'm
team
still not
delivered.
canceling my tickets after all. Like,
Of course not. You shouldn't because there's always going to be a resale market for the good games, and for this particular game, I think it's a little bit about the inflexibility of the league with the times, with something that's been talked about over and over again. So there's different factors that go into it. I don't think it's an LAFC issue necessarily. It could be an MLS issue. You know what I mean? But I think we all would agree that more soccer, more days of the week is something that we like, right? If I can get an opportunity to see my team more than once a week, I think the three of us and Kiki Oliveira would all agree that we want to play and be
Marcelo Bielsa.
out there more than once a week, which I think seems very natural for some of the young guys. But hey, I have a question for you guys before we really dig into this game. And I mean, I'm sorry, it's just Houston. I don't really care. We won 2-0. Yeah, we don't really have that to talk too much about it. But I do want to talk about the fact that a lot of teams were promoted and relegated over this weekend. I have no idea, how every team did and whatnot, but I was reading about Leeds United coming back to sort of the EPL. And, the thing about relegation and promotion, and this is where I'm going with this, that we don't have, right, is the fact that it motivates teams in different types of ways that other than, hey, if we didn't make the playoffs, at least we get to go home early and see our family. So, the question to me is, are we at a time now that this stuff is truly kind of hindering the growth of this league? Because as I see the excitement of promotion around now, I'm jealous, man. I want to see some of that stuff happening. And, all of us have seen it in other leagues. So Uruguay, Gaston, tell me a little bit about that experience. And do you think, we're finally, very close and almost ready to see a promotion relegation season in the United States?
Well, honestly, the reality of American sports is very far away from me. So my culture and the way I understand sports is way different to what you guys do up north there in the US. I mean, in MLS, it's always been like this. And I think that it's something that comes along with American sports and that MLS will never change. I think that promotion relegation is needed because it raises the competitiveness, it raises the eagerness to win. And I mean, teams like the Galaxy would be in serious trouble for not having won a single game in the season. Right now, they still have a chance for playoffs because not only we have playoffs, but 9 out of 15 teams make it. So it's like a really high percentage.
They're not gonna make it, man. But maybe they will have like a big turnaround. But Eric, tell me about that too. Sorry, I don't know if you had anything as to else, but I think Eric has been on the other side of this with a ton of playoff. Like, he loves the playoffs. We all love the playoffs for a lot of reasons, right? We live for the postseason and for like this, like the last team standing situation. But are we at a time now that bringing some teams in from a secondary tier. And at this point, it could be MLS Next. They're not ready, right? But if we don't have anything else, do you allow MLS Next Pro or any team to compete in MLS? Maybe 2026, 2028. Like, it seems like we're ready for that, and it's hindering our growth, Eric.
I think there's a lot of factors to this conversation to consider. Number one is, right, growing the MLS. Who are we trying to grow it with? Are we trying to grow it with existing American soccer fans who watch Premier League and they watch the top 3 European soccer leagues, the ones who are always saying, yeah, MLS isn't good enough for me? And we'll also talk about ProRel, but ultimately at the end, are they the people that are going to come in and grow our league? Or is it other American sports fans who don't really pay attention to any soccer at all? And they kind of just start into it with the domestic league, which, is how I got into it. I got into it through MLS. I didn't get into it through watching European soccer. So I think that's the number one question. If you think basically the existing American soccer fans is the way you want to grow it, you absolutely need ProRel. I'm a little skeptical that is where we grow it. I think it's better to try to pull more American sports fans, of which we know there's, the number of NFL fans absolutely dwarfs MLS soccer fans all in the US. The basketball fans, way more. Baseball fans, way more. Can we pull people who are they get their entertainment through sports and get them into this game that they don't know to watch? And I think the live experiences are compelling enough at MLS stadiums that's really the draw. And when you experience it live, I think that's when you start following a team. So if that's where we're growing the game, I don't think ProRel is necessary, because all these people are coming from sports that are used to a playoff format. You talked about the basketball and the Clippers, everybody knows the NBA heats up way more in the playoffs. The regular season's kind of whatever, because a lot of teams also make the playoffs. When the playoffs come, everybody goes up a couple levels. NHL, same thing. It's like when the playoff hockey is a whole different thing than regular season hockey. And so I think with that, MLS is kind of the same thing, and we should see playoff soccer much better than the regular league soccer. Now, that said, I think the way we format our playoffs at the end,
a best of 3 is not the way, maybe.
No, the best of 3 doesn't do it, because it doesn't give you that urgency. What I liked before was the single round elimination and all of it tiered, and that's what makes the regular season worth something. Is the top team gets a week off. The bottom team has to play a game on like 2 days rest, traveling both times. Like they give them disadvantages that way. So that's what I liked. And it's my opinion, and my opinions aren't always right.
We're here for that, and they're free. It's free, baby. That's what we're here for. Okay, look, I appreciate the league talk. I think it's healthy to talk about in understanding the ecosystem. A lot of people don't understand MLS because of all these quirks. So, I think even though this is an LAFC show and we're not trying to be an MLS show, I think it's worth understanding that these things all impact the team that we love, LAFC. So with that, let's talk a little bit about this game that happened this past weekend. I did not make it as well. I did not watch the postseason interviews as well. I was happy we got a 2-0 win. I don't remember what you called this game. I did say it was going to be a 1-0 win, and I thought the center forward was going to score, except that I thought Giroud was going to start and score the winning goal for us. He didn't even get off the bench. So, Gaston, what did you think of that starting lineup? Not much going on outside of Marlon sitting in the back. Everything pretty steady beyond that. But in up front, you have Giroud not starting, Under once again not starting, and the two guys, the two youths, as I like to call them, starting for LAFC. What did you think of the starting lineup for Professor Cherundolo?
Oh, I think you're muted.
I was really surprised by seeing Nathan Ordaz start up top, to be honest. I knew David Martinez was going to start because of the goal he scored and the big impact he always has in the games. And Buanga, of course, he's the main man on our team, so he's going to start every single game he wants, basically. I thought we were going to see Ebobisse up top, not Giroud, not Ordaz. But well, Dolo surprised us, and it paid out pretty well. I think Nathan, and the reason why Nathan plays it was the pressing and the dynamic he brings to the team. Of course, he's a young guy still. He needs to work on many things, like his first touch sometimes is off, and the decision making mostly when passing or when making runs. But he's got the goal scoring instinct, and he's also got something that is really hard to find, and it's the charisma, that thing that makes him loved by the fans. And honestly, I think he's making the most out of that connection, and he's feeling the energy, he's feeling loved, he's feeling supported, and that translates into the pitch perfectly. He said that he is in a in a really good state of mind right now, and in a sport where confidence is key, if you have a player that is fully focused, I think that it was a great decision to start him. Of course, having your two DPs on the bench, I mean, Giroud and Under,
Oh, it's challenging.
that's challenging for sure. And having them on the bench to start two youngsters, two under 21 players, Cherundolo has to have some courage to take decisions like that. But at the end of the day, Ordaz scored, and then in the second half, the substitute striker Ebobisse scored. So after the game, I can say perfect from Dolo. Prior to the game, I was a little bit skeptical, not gonna lie. And on Marlon being out of the starting 11, I mean, I think he's probably our best defender, up there with Long. But in the last few games, he had been making some mistakes, some concentration mistakes, like the handball against Miami, and I remember some plays against Portland that weren't ideal. So I understand Segura is receiving more hate than deserved. I mean, he's not the perfect defender. Probably he doesn't have the quality to be a starting player for us, but he's not useless. He's proven to be a good option
He's
to play
great.
on. He's been playing great, to be honest. This
Yeah.
last game was really good, on the left flank of the defense. And I mean, I'm really happy for him because he's been going through a lot. The
So-
hate, the ACL
Oh yeah.
injuries.
Yep.
It's a lot to go through. So I'm happy for this Segura redemption season.
Eric, so the Segura redemption season is ongoing, and I'm a big believer that we need these like hard proven, well proved MLS guys, that bring the fabric, they bring fabric, and it's been the winning formula for LAFC. So, I want to challenge you because you said you were going to make an argument that we needed to have kept Swaggy T, Tristan Blackman. And one of the things LAFC could have done at the time was lock Tristan and not Eddie. But we locked Eddie and let Tristan be available, and then he goes to Charlotte. The rest is history. So do you think, a little bit of revisionist history here, but talk to me about Tristan Blackman in Vancouver excelling, and Steady Eddie still making his way into our starting lineup. And by the way, when he starts, we win. And I have to give them that. There's a level of steadiness to Steady Eddie that it keeps us getting wins, man.
I will say, I think when I wish I would have talked to you to pull the stats up, but I think the nights after Eddie Segura plays on the pitch, I think he sleeps in a lot of clean sheets. Because
oh yeah,
I think,
oh my God, did you rehearse
That's cold.
that?
That's cold.
I
Poetry.
think if you look back, a lot of the shutouts we have, Eddie has been on the field, and we all saw last season as he's working his way back from this injury, he was a liability, especially those first couple games. He was a huge liability in the back, but I think he's playing into a very a good place, and he's kind of on the cusp of starting level or not. We can do a lot worse as a CB3. I'm sure he's CB3 now, and it's not Chanot. A whole other, question mark
Look
on
how
that.
far
But let's go back to what you're
Chanot's
saying about
dealing with
Tristan
head
Blackman.
issues, but yeah.
So you got to remember with Tristan Blackman is he moved over there because we traded away Walker Zimmerman, and the tandem in 2019 was Zimmerman and Segura. And they were a very effective tandem, and you don't want to get rid of both center backs. If you get rid of one of them, you want to try to complement the other one. And Tristan Blackman in that 2019 season, towards the end of the season, they started moving him into center back with Zimmerman, and then he ended up having a little bit of an injury. So then the next season, what it really was is we traded away. We let Steven Beitashour go to Colorado. This is what opened the hole at right back. And I'll get to the point on here. But then we signed Andy Najjar, who immediately got injured. So Tristan Blackman had to move over to right back because he had played it in 2019, but we didn't have anybody else who could play it. But they wanted him at center back. So. And I think they correctly identified that he was a better center back than he was a fullback. But he went over there, and then he got hurt, which led to Latif Blessing playing right back. And that, that was how the 2020 kind of went. So with Tristan Blackman, that year of him moving around and playing kind of a bunch of positions led to them basically not franchise tagging him in an expansion draft, and he was picked up by Carolina and immediately traded to Vancouver as some sort of deal that was worked out beforehand. So, and I said at the time, like, we are making a mistake by letting Blackman go. And a lot of the LAFC fans were not super stoked on Blackman either at the time, So sometimes I'm on the right side of history and sometimes on the wrong. So I've always loved him as a player. Danny Musovski is another one that that I've always loved, and he in 2 weeks has scored more goals than Giroud has scored.
He started for Schmetzer. I posted about that. He's tapped to found the youth.
I'm happy that Swaggy T is finding success in Vancouver. If you remember, he has yet to celebrate a goal scored at us in the bank. He still loves his black and gold, and he will forever be black and gold. The last thing I wanted to mention was the first question, which was the starting three of Ordaz, Martinez, and Bouanga.
Yeah, I'm gonna put a graph up for you here, which I prepared. We can talk through it, but go ahead, keep talking through it. Go ahead.
So when that came up before, I told you all in the chat and I think on Twitter that this is my ideal starting three lineup that I want to see the rest of the season, and that is Bouanga, Ordaz, Martinez. To me, this should be their job to lose right now.
Yeah, man. I created an analysis. It's part of what I do with my day job, which is analyze numbers and come up with why things are happening, right? So here, what I did was identify the guys that when they're on the pitch, the differential of goals is higher than they used to be when they're not, and these guys are all there. And the other factor is, how many points are is the team doing when they're on the field versus other guys? Points per game, which is very important. Essentially, are you winning? Are you winning and are you scoring? And, these are the guys that are having the winning impact for us. Eddie Segura, Tim Tillman, Jerry Ebobisse, which scores that second goal for us. Nathan Ordaz, Martin Delgado, Sergi Palencia. These are the engines of this team, right? And, I've been giving Giroud every chance to do well here and get out of his hole, and maybe he's going to turn a corner. But I'm officially off the Giroud train, and I think we need to really, really prime and ride this Ordaz Ebobisse combo, which seems to be a winning formula in Major League Soccer.
Yeah, and
Don't you guys agree?
Yeah, 100%. And sorry to step on you, Gaston here, but. The thing with Ordaz and Martinez is I kind of look at this team, right? And to me, like, this 2025 is kind of a busted season already. With Dolo announcing he's gone at the end of the season, like, it's hard for me to see this team for us to make a real push for the championship, looking at like the other good teams in the league and saying, can we beat them? We need to make a bunch of impact signings this summer because a lot of the big signings we have are not working. So, and if we do that, we're now stepping on whoever our next coach is, what they want to do, and we're starting to affect next year. So to me, it's
that's
like,
a big issue.
What do Ordaz and Martinez need the most is they need game minutes, and is Ebobisse a better number 9 than Ordaz right now? Yes, probably but not by a lot. Now, if Ordaz plays 75% of the minutes by the end of 25, is he going to pass Ebobisse in quality? I believe so.
Mm-hmm.
Martinez is another one that more minutes he gets. And I
Mm-hmm.
noticed there were some things about the injuries, which Martinez definitely has had, but
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
he needs to get minutes, and hopefully that will make him more durable and get up there. I think those two have the most improvement, along with Igor Jesus. They're all three are very young guys, and
Yeah.
so your young guys in their early 20s, they get the most benefit from playing minutes because their ceiling is still raising, and so we need to put them in a position to allow their ceilings to raise so that next year they become threatening for MLS All Stars. And
Mm.
not only that, with Ordaz as a homegrown, no salary cap. Like if he's in our best 11, this is a roster slot we essentially don't take much cap hit for, and we can put it elsewhere and really build a monster.
Well, look, we're getting better, Gaston. We're getting better and better, and
Yeah.
some of these guys are, Tim Tillman has really, improved his game. I'm really impressed with what I see from him. LAFC has not lost a game in four, right? And to say we have nothing to play for when the coach said he's staying until year end. You have Leagues Cup coming up. Say it or not, it's what we have. We might be playing the World Championship, which someone mentioned here. What's going on with that? We don't know. And so there's so much to play for. And the playoffs, which we know we're going to do.
Yeah.
We're not going to be there, right? So there's 3 trophies on the line, Eric. Why would John Thornton leave his guy there if he just felt he's not going to compete in 3 of these trophies? So Gaston, tell me a little bit about that. What do you think is going on upstairs with John Thornton, through all of this, his coach leaving, and like you both saying, maybe there's nothing to play for until next year. Are you kidding me?
Nah, I just don't think the season is over yet. I know I said at the beginning of the podcast that maybe this wasn't going to be our season, but it doesn't mean that I don't think we're going to compete. I think we're going to be there competing as we usually do. I just don't see this team winning things this season. But I think that the greatest reason why Dolo is staying is the possibility to play the Club World Cup. I mean, if you change the coaching staff so close to the tournament, you're done. Basically, you need a coach who knows the players, who knows how to get the best out of some of them, not all of them, but the majority. And I think that maybe, I don't know, winning some games in the group stage of that hypothetical Club World Cup is our main goal right now. Of course, we gotta beat Club America, which is also gonna be extremely tough with how good they're playing and the extremely talented squad they have. And Leagues Cup is always there too. And I mean, the season is really long. I mean, we're still in May.
There's so much to play for.
This is ending in December. So we still have all 2025 to see how
We're
things
third.
develop.
It seemed like the Messi elimination plus the coaching announcement took all the air out of our season. And, you couple that with the fact that both of our designated players are underachieving, and we're still a mid-tier team. I think there's a lot to be happy about, given that things have not come our way the way that we imagined this last season to go to, and anything else you guys want to talk about this win? 2-0. Jonathan Bond comes back to the league and gets shelled twice. I love that. I'm like, oh my god, here it comes. I don't like Jonathan Bond because I've seen him just. But I like him, because he's always benefits us. But it's almost sad to see MLS recycle some of these guys. I'm like, oh my god, Houston, what are you doing? Very sad what's going on there outside of Artur being the captain. By the way, did you guys see Igor Jesus get on Artur's face after the yellow card? I love that about that kid, man. Like, he's got some grit. I really hope Igor's stays around. Like as Eric said, he's still developing. He's going to be a much better player than he currently is. Gaston, tell me a little bit about your view of Igor, because you watch South American soccer, and it's my kind of view that he's playing very different from what he used to. What have you seen from him so far this season?
Well, I'm loving what I'm seeing from Igor. We all know he's Brazilian. You love him because he's Brazilian. But I'm seeing a proper South American midfielder there. He's got the grit to play. He's got the mindset to go for every ball, to try to win every tackle, to try to win every duel, to not give the ball for lost, and to be running until the last minute of the game. Uh, and I'm loving him because I think he brings a different profile to what, for example, Ilya Sanchez brought in the past in that same position. Maybe Ilya was more of a tactically ordered player with a better understanding of when to press or what pass to give. But the intensity Igor gives you and the physical presence, that's really important. How he's not scared to go for a tackle. And I mean, I know we lost that series at the end of the day, but Igor Jesus against Inter Miami was a masterclass, especially the first game. How he was all over the place running, how he's supporting to play out of the back. Something Ilya also used to do, but sometimes he places himself in the middle of the defense, and we have Long on one side, Segura, Marlon, whoever on the other side, and that brings you more options to play out of the back. Of course, he is conscious that maybe his technical ability or his passing isn't as good as Tillman or Delgado's, but he offers himself as an option, and I think he's been able to complement in a really good way with Delgado, especially. I think they understand each other really well. And I mean, if this is Igor Jesus with what, 21 years old, I can only imagine what Igor is gonna be in 2, 3, 4 years. Hopefully, he can develop to be our long-term midfielder. And if he performs in this level of play, I have no doubts that he's gonna be in Europe or in a more important league, because the ceiling is the limit for him. The sky is the limit for him. Sorry.
The ceiling, yeah, no, he's got a huge ceiling, and we totally got what you're saying there, man. And by the way, shout out to Ho Knights. He's blowing up our chat, or her. I don't know. It's hard to tell. It's a picture of Neymar. I think it's Neymar. Yeah, that's
Yeah,
Neymar right
it's
there.
Neymar
And,
after
you know, he
Neymar
he
after
wants-
winning the
he or
golden
she
medal.
wants me to send a greeting to Benito Cabello. Huge fan of the pod. And what's up, Benito? I think I know who you are, man. You know, anyways, I appreciate you guys just being here and, you know, sending stuff like that. Yep. Rosa Milano, please. What up? What up? So, anyways, I appreciate you guys tuning in. You know, we try to just keep it light. And by the way, the expectations for the show were very low. So if you're really interested in our show, you gotta tune in next week. We have Seattle coming in during the week. We'll probably have like a guest for that. And then El Tráfico. I'm working on a guest for that. That would be really cool to have for the El Tráfico. So if we can land him or her, it would be really, really fun. So, but next week, you can't miss it. Go ahead and subscribe it on YouTube. We're still chasing our 100th subscriber on X. So we're still broadcasting it off my jam, which is fine. We'll retweet and everything works out at the end. But again, appreciate you being here. Just a quick check for what on the time and everything we talked about. I think we beat this Houston game to death. I do have to say, you know, it was a little bit of a weird game. I didn't like the fact that we let that team hang until like the 85th minute. And these are the types of games that you don't want to lose, right? And you inviting a team that is kind of beaten, not looking good, to come in and surprise you, right? So, you know, I tweeted earlier in the first half, you need to put this away. You need to put this away fast before they come up with some sort of light. Were you guys ever at any point concerned about the 3 points for this last game, Eric?
No, I wasn't really with this one. I thought watching it that I think the first half we didn't give them a single shot on net or a chance, and I think it went quite a ways in the second half. They had like a little bit of like progressive movement in the second half, but I thought we pretty much handled them just fine, you know. And Igor Jesus, as you were mentioning him, he is my favorite player we have on the roster this year as well. And I think he's the one guy on the team right now that I could see actually moving on and being successful in Europe, because one, he's so young, but two, the way he plays the game, he plays it at that next level with the intensity. And I a lot of times I see the guys in our field, they lack that intensity. Tillman, I thought, had one of his best games for us against Houston. And, I complain a lot about his lack of forward passing, but it's not really there. I think Tillman, that last game, was just as good of a destroyer as we've ever had in our midfield. I mean, going back to like peak Latif Blessing when he got put in as a destroyer and just ran and ran, because Tillman, that entire game, he was all over the field pressing and chasing the ball. And the more I think about our midfield, this is what makes Igor Jesus better than Iliak, because Igor Jesus can also play that destroyer role where all of a sudden he's up pressing the goalie and he's able to get back, and then Delgado, he's the most like an 8 that we have, but I was thinking about have a conversation between like 8s, and I don't think we have really anybody that plays like a prototypical 8 at all. Delgado is the closest, and he's, half an 8 and half of a destroyer as well. So we kind of have 3 guys who can all play destroyer in the midfield, none of them who are really creator. And I think that's why our opportunities come in transitions. And I think that's why when we are holding the ball, we can't really do much except move it up to the wings. And, our midfield even has trouble getting it to our 9, which has been obvious.
Yeah. Weird. Like, so you said something there, because if you follow it, I named the podcast episode Counterattack Clinic, because we've kind of become this team that needs speed, and you need to catch them in numbers so that we have sort of the speed in both sides of the field to be able to attack. And Uruguay, that's kind of become the DNA, and if we don't have those components, it seems like if we get a team that is very structured, it don't opens itself for that type of transition game, the scoring doesn't happen. So, what's the solution there? How do you become a little bit more objective with that last pass? Seems like we're missing that last pass, which is why I've always wanted a 10.
Yeah. You've nailed it. We don't have a creator. That's why I just don't understand why they signed Giroud in the first place. I mean, if we're a counter-attacking team, why would you bring Giroud? But aside from that, I think, we're a counter-attacking team. You can see Nathan Ordaz running basically through all the United States, from Laredo, Texas to Alaska. Every single game he's running. You can see David Martinez pressing, running. Buanga is not the most defensively effective player, but he's sometimes also pressing and helping with that part of the game. I think that our solution, Celso, to what you asked, is exactly that, a number 10. I think the thing is, maybe this squad was planned to have Antoine Griezmann come at the mid-year, but he's not coming apparently. So let's see what option we have. There's also Cengiz Under on the bench, who has sometimes come on as a midfielder, and I would really like Cherundolo to try a 4-2-3-1 formation with Under as the number 10, or as that connection between the midfield and the attacking players, because he's got that clinical pass. We saw it against St. Louis with the 2 assists. So I think until the half of the season, our solution would be Cengiz Under or David Martinez. I think both of them can play centrally as a number 10. But yeah, I think it's something that Cherundolo has just adapted to live without, a number 10. We've never really had a number 10 in LAFC history. So
Carlos Vela.
Please.
No, Bella.
He was not a 10.
Just played on the right wing.
Bella was a right winger.
He was a right winger.
Hey,
but he was an 11.
But
play with a 10.
Wait, but Messi at Barcelona kind of played the 10 on the right wing as well, so it's not like a 10 never.
Yeah,
plays
but
the right wing.
Bella
Messi's
also
a goddamn anomaly.
Bella
You
also
put him in
played
right back,
striker.
you fucking score.
I mean,
okay, so
Yeah.
here's oh my god, so this is the moment I'm just like, oh, I want to fucking pull my hair. I get so fucking mad because here's the thing: if you ever been in LA, you will see someone at some point driving a Ferrari or a very fancy car that they rented, and they have no idea how to drive that motherfucker. And what I think we're doing with Under right now, it's essentially the same thing. We can't seem to get him past second gear right now. That shit is stuck and stalling everywhere. And yeah, he's a $25 million player. So what is the point of having a $25 million player come here if they absolutely cannot do shit and they're going to play like an $8 million player? And by the way, we're talking about Mueller. Let's sign another fucking 9. Maybe we'll just do the Twin Towers attack. So, I mean, someone explain to me, what do we do with Under, the rented Ferrari that is here? We have it for 2 months, but no one seems to use the fucking clutch around him, and we just have it stuck in second gear. Tell me what to do with this Under guy, because I'm frustrated as hell about it. Please, someone.
Yeah. I will tell you what we do with him is he comes in at the 70th minute to replace Martinez because
why? He's $1.2 million salary, Eric.
Because
that was
Martinez
how much it cost to bring that Ferrari to us.
Because
you're gonna let it sit?
Because investing in Martinez's game minutes is going to give us more of a return next November and December than investing in Cengiz Under's minutes are going to give us.
So why did he come in the first place then? I have to challenge you on that one.
Now I will give you this, because we were talking about the Club World Cup playoff, and agreed. If we somehow happen to win that game, it's going to completely change everything, because they're going to have to load up. Luckily, this playoff game will happen before the summer transfer window. If we don't make that playoff game, then we definitely know that we're just riding this season out and we're looking towards 2026. But if we do win this game, all of a sudden, this team is absolutely not ready to go for this tournament. And then keeping Cengiz Under, but he's, Under's like a Belonga that picks his head up to pass the ball. I mean, he's really, when you look at him, he's a shooting wing, and all of his stats have him as a shooting wing. We've seen how good he is at passing, but he's one like Giroud. The pieces around him just don't complement what he does. He needs a playmaker around him as well. He's not supposed to be the playmaker, and he's kind of stuck into having to be a playmaker when it's not his strength.
Yeah. Gaston, help me. What's going on in Thornton's mind right now? He's got the Ferrari on the bench. He's like, I'm not taking the Ferrari out, even though it's paid for it. I don't care about this. I'm going to just take the Civic. The Civic gives me great mileage. I get some goals in. But, talk to me about this. And then now we can't sign a player because we're waiting for the next coach. I think this is all messed up, man. What is going on in the general manager's mind? And, how do we finish the season? You know what I mean? Am I freaking out, or what's going on?
Well, I think Under was a market opportunity because he wasn't playing in Fenerbahce. Mourinho didn't want him. So basically it was a great deal for both of us, for LAFC and for Under. Under can now at least play 20-30 minutes a game when he wasn't playing at all in Fenerbahce. LAFC has a player that can have those sparks of quality like he had against St. Louis, and I'm sure we're going to see more of him because we don't have a player with that profile, and he's going to be really useful at times. And even Fenerbahce wins because they get to split the salary with us. So I think it was a situation, a win-win for everybody. What's going to happen with Under? I don't know. Because his loan is up in July?
Yeah, July.
So, in literally 8 weeks.
Yeah, so it's also, what would you rather? Develop David Martinez, give those minutes to Nathan Ordaz, who that are going to stick with you for at least
8 games. At this point, it's irrelevant. You're not going to further develop none of the two by not playing them, but again, this is my opinion.
Yeah, well, but at the same time,
you got to play the guys that give you the most chance of winning. Otherwise, what are we doing? I have always been a believer that you got to find the 11 guys that are giving you the largest chance of winning.
We're playing the Ute. That's what we're doing.
Which I know, which is crazy because for a long time we fought this team because they never played the youth, and they're doing that this year on a wait and see pattern, and it's crazy. I'm sorry, I'm composing myself back to host.
I
put it all back in because it's just frustrating me how we're using RDPs at this minute.
There was
this Griezmann thing behind it.
There was a different Fenerbahce wing that I really wish we would have gotten like a year earlier instead of going to Columbus. Imagine what this team
And
would
look
look
at
like
him
with Diego
now.
Rossi on the right wing, even with
And he's
Giroud.
a
It would be
better
insane.
Diego.
Oh,
Someone you can build
I watched the
around.
Columbus game, man, and God, do I fucking miss Rossi, man.
He's really, by the way, this is nostalgia FC over here. We
Yeah,
talk
It
but
is
about
brings
every
Blackman,
single
back
Mustafi.
player and how
at
things
Tuesta.
used to be and back in the day and the how LAFC was what it was. Oh my goodness, so much nostalgia here. Guys, we gotta talk Vancouver though. I'm sorry to give you a check. I'm back. I got my frustration out with DPs, but let's talk about the fact that we're going to be playing probably the hardest team in this league. They are Vancouver. They are new. They're fresh. They have a new coach. They have Jaden Nelson. Is that his name? He's like really. Is that his name? He's a really good player there. That's been lighting things up.
Vite has been on fire.
Oh yeah, Pedro
And
Vite. What a
Pedro
player.
Vite has always been a great player, blown up. We picked up their scraps in Raposo. I believe he was a former Vancouver player,
Yeah, he was.
which LAFC picked up. So he's a death player for us going to the carpeted BC place there to play those guys. Always a tough game, man. But I want to start with you, Gaston. Like, no one saw this thing happening where you
No.
bring a new coach, no one knows who he is. Complete nonsense, right? Everyone's sad about their coach leaving, and the guy takes them from being a mediocre player team that always gets beaten by LAFC to now CCC finalists, which, and by the way, I am now starting to believe they can do it. And,
Hopefully.
first on the West, and, and then some, and two exciting players in Berhalter and Brian White. So what's going on there? They lose their coach and their best player in Ryan Gold, and they turn it around. Is this a formula LAFC should follow by getting rid of Bowanga at the same time that Cherundolo leaves?
No, I mean, I think LAFC and Vancouver are two completely different franchises with different expectations, and this is not something that happened from day to night. I mean, Bani Sartini had been cooking something in Vancouver for a while. Of course, he was almost there with some results. He didn't really ever got to win anything important for Vancouver, but the bases were there. He's the one who gave Blackmon the opportunity to play for Vancouver and to establish himself as a starter. He's the one who got Ryan Gold, who now isn't playing, but is an incredible player that can bring a lot more to Vancouver. It's not something that was built in one day. And I'm really happy for them because I think that Vancouver is a really cool franchise, a fantastic stadium. I was fortunate to be there, and their ambience at the stadium, their fan base is kind of dead. But I think that now that they're getting good results, they're gonna start to support more. But from an LAFC standpoint, I'm not worried about the game. I think we can win. I think we can make it again. Buanga always shows his best version against Vancouver, so I'm confident that he's gonna score. And it's a great opportunity for LAFC to basically say, "Hey, we're still here. Vancouver is the hot team right now, but we're LAFC. We're there. We're 9 points away from them in the table right now. If we win, we cut the difference to 6, which is basically 2 losses from Vancouver. So we'd be there with 20 games remaining in the regular season. And I think that it's gonna be a great game where we're gonna need a lot of work from the defense. And honestly, I think that Hollingshead needs to step his game up, and Palencia needs to keep working in the way he's been. Because Vancouver, we have Brian White, we have Berhalter. There are many players that can switch positions up top, so you need to be concentrated for the whole 90 minutes. And it's turf. It's always Vancouver. We know Vancouver. We've played them like 20 times in the last 2 years.
Not this version of it.
Not this version, but as I was telling you, I think that psychologically, even for the players of Vancouver, facing LAFC is not the same as facing other clubs.
But
We've already beat them.
you didn't answer my question,
I'm
which
not
is,
worried.
would you blow up LAFC in 2026 knowing you have an incoming coach, right? Like if that's really going to happen. And now you have an opportunity to build this thing from the ground up. You get rid of Giroud, which, I mean, there's no way
He's
going
out
to
of
be DP
contract at the
next
end of
year,
the
right?
season.
Right. You let that go, and you're going to have the third DP open no matter what. And you sell Bouanga for, it could be a peak amount of money, right? And nothing against Bouanga. He's kind of ran its course in LA, and you sell him, and you have a clean slate to start something crazy new, right? With any player that is available in free agency, and there will be some good ones after the during a World Cup year, right? So don't you think it's a good strategy, Eric, to just basically blow this whole thing up so that this new coach can basically come in and build something new and fresh?
Yes. They have to spend that Bogush money on someone, and since they haven't really spent it at all. So hopefully that's just sitting there to make some big moves. As you were talking about Vancouver, I think this Vancouver game is going to be a really tough game. I think we're facing a Vancouver that we haven't faced before. They have a level of confidence they haven't had before against us. And fundamentally, they're very sound with what they're doing. They also play like a team. It remains to be seen whether they're going to be able to close this off against Cruz Azul. They're clear underdogs, but any MLS team is going to be an underdog against Cruz Azul. But Vancouver, I think, they've went to Mexico twice on draws, and they've finished out series down there. So they're able to stay mentally strong and not leak and goals at the end of the game to lose something. In fact, on the other side, I think their game against maybe it was Tigres, like or Pumas, they scored a late goal. They scored a goal in stoppage time and went from a losing position to a winning position like that, like with a minute left in the game. And you have to be a strong, well-disciplined team to score a goal in the last minute of stoppage time to turn a loss into a win. So that's one thing we're dealing with. And if they do go through, let's compare them to the only other team that's won the Continental Tournament, the CCL, the Seattle Sounders. The thing similar with Vancouver and Seattle is who is the big retired European star on those teams? They don't have one.
They keep it lean.
It's a bunch of hungry guys who are trying to come up. There's nobody who's been there and done that, and they're coming back here. Like look at all that talent in that Miami team that this hungry group of young guys won. And with LAFC, I would love to see something like that as well. I mean, it was great. We had Vela; he was the well-known marquee player. But I'm perfectly happy going with a bunch of the other guys that nobody knows and having them prove themselves, like the young kids, the ones who are going to become stars. And, just to wrap that up, if Vancouver wins, the only MLS teams who have won this tournament are teams that have done it without a single aging European superstar. And so I think this is something that should be thought of. And it's very hard for the marketing MLS does, as we talked early in the show about trying to draw new fans. How do you draw new fans with a team that nobody's heard of? But if it's a team that nobody's heard of, but these guys are winning and beating everybody, I mean that, winning is its own reward. So
it is a big time. And look, let's just be honest, right? We're talking about Vancouver here, which kind of makes me upset in terms of the CCL, right? Or CCC, because we had Miami beaten, and they've proven not to be a great team. And we probably would have beaten Vancouver given the great historical we've had against them. So it was again, another missed opportunity for LAFC to establish itself as a worldly club that conquers, that's just taken the United States by storm and is winning titles every year. You know what I mean? You just get missed opportunities to really become that team early on. But look at the last 5 games for Vancouver, and look who they beat, and look who they didn't beat. March 23rd, they lose to the Fire at home 3-1, the Berhalter versus Berhalter game, yada, yada. Then they tie Toronto, a bad team, right? And then they win against Colorado, Austin, tie St. Louis, which we did too, beat Minnesota, which who cares, and then beat Real Salt Lake, which is a dumpster fire, but it was a 2-1 game. Look, man, I think we can beat this team. I don't think they're that good, and it's going to expose the fact that we just dropped a massive opportunity to go on to the finals.
Yeah.
Eric, I'll start with you on this one. What are your expectations, your true expectations for this game? We're approaching the end of our program here, which usually we start talking about what do you think the outcome's going to be. But talk to me, what type of LAFC team shows up? A small side note, we're 0.80 points per game on the road this season. Very bad. But talk to me about what do you think how this game's going to go before we get out of here.
I think with this game, what we've seen out of LAFC the last 3 games is because the offense has been so stagnant, they're trying to push guys forward and create more opportunities and more overloads and chances. But the other side, what this has done is it's made our defense much more vulnerable, which we've seen, in a 3-3 draw and then a 2-2 draw. I mean, you go back to how many games did it take you before to find LAFC scoring 5 points? You probably have to go a fair number of games or else totally wrong, and you'd be like, whatever.
August.
But to me, we've been pushing forward more and scoring more, but we're also conceding more. And a team like Vancouver, this is a team that punishes you because they play like a team that are underdogs. And if you have the right underdog mentality, you tend to kind of bunker down and you take your counterattacks when you get them. And you sometimes are few and far between. So LAFC, it needs to come out in the front foot, and it may be kind of playing right into Vancouver's hands. But I also think Vancouver has had a lot of games and they're kind of tired. So I think this is going to end in a draw, either a 2-2 draw or a 3-3 draw, because we're pushing guys forward, but we're also not going to be able to stop them. So I'm going to put it a 2-2 draw, and we continue scoring goals on the road, and we continue scoring more goals than we have been throughout the season. So that's how I think it's going to go.
Now, Gaston, I like to get your input on what type of lineup we may see this weekend. So, a couple of things to keep in mind. We don't know what's going to Aaron Long. I think he plays or he can't play, even though people are saying he's hurt. He was banged up, so it could be a rotation type of situation, given that you're going to have 2 games on the next week, right? So maybe you want to allow Marlon and Segura to play, but who do what kind of lineup do you go with? Do you just keep it steady 4-3-3, rotate the center backs, and that's it? Or, do we see, 3 in the back against one of the better teams in the league? Maybe we go with a different look.
I basically stick with the same starting 11 that won against Houston. I think that we had a great game. We showed some moments of basically brilliance with the ball, like the Ordaz goal that was a really good build up. And I think that you just shouldn't change things that are working. We got the 3 points. We were convincing. We weren't incredible, but we were convincing at least. And I think that we have the personnel on the bench to stick with this idea. You have Frankie Amaya, who can come off the bench to play on Tillman's position. You have Under, who can play on the right side. Ebobisse, Giroud up top. So you have different variants to the 4-3-3. Same formation, but the changes with the personnel. So you can adapt the formation to the different players and to the different circumstances of the game. It's not the same a 4-3-3 with Giroud up top, where you're gonna have him hold up the ball. You're gonna have him try to win the duels, the aerial duels. Also, Vancouver has some really good defenders when it comes to duels. So I think we should stay with our starting 11 with the same idea. We're starting to get rolling, so I expect us to win 2-0, maybe 2-1, 2-0. I think Buanga is getting a brace, and
he plays well there.
Buanga in Vancouver is a different beast. Buanga in Vancouver is the best Buanga we've ever seen. He always manages to score there. And it's one of those games that makes you think all the week, that makes you be with the expectations high. So I'm really happy that we're able to play these kind of games, because it's not the same when you're on a Monday or on a Tuesday, and on the weekend you're playing, I don't know, Colorado Rapids, than playing these Vancouver Whitecaps. So I'm really excited for the weekend, and hopefully we get the 3 points. But I wouldn't mind a draw if we get it, to be honest.
A draw away against the top team in the league is not bad, right? And a win would be really good for all of our confidence. We need to have something to play for, right? And if we're on a roll and we see we can, do something this season, everybody's healthy. If it is Boanga's last season or not, who knows? You know what I mean? What kind of interest he may have come at him, but we want this guy to get another trophy, right? Or maybe two, if the League's Cup is within reach. And it seems like it is. I think it is. I like our group. I think we can get out of that pretty easily and ride that trophy once again. And it would be a really good addition to our trophy cabin, given that we blew it up last year. So I still think there's a ton to play for, which is why I'm so puzzled by the timing of the decision. If not for making yourself available in the job market elsewhere, right? Like, hey, I'm leaving. If you want to hire me for the upcoming season. But if you're going to wait until the end of the year, why are you downsizing? So I'm still very confused about that announcement. I think it hurts the locker room, but they're telling us it doesn't. They're telling us we're not looking for coaches, even though there's a bunch of names out there. And yeah, man, LAFC is without a loss since the Dynamo game. And we now play some, I would say some easier, crazy. I would say you have Vancouver. I was just going to go through the schedule real quick and we get out of here. But you have Vancouver on the road, and then we are home to Seattle, which is a midweek game, 4 days after Vancouver, and then Carson at Carson. So again, that whole jam. And you don't want to lose to Carson when they don't have any wins. I'm just saying. And then you go to Montreal, which is a crazy flight. So two of the worst teams in the league, right? Back to back, but you're away to both of them. And we know what can happen. Nothing is a surprise, when you play Carson. Anything can happen. So, look, guys.
Wait.
What's
One
up,
thing
Eric?
I want to mention before we go, since you're talking about Dolo and the coach, is a couple hours ago, the season ticket holders got an email saying that Coach Razov is going to be doing a Q&A, I believe 5 to 6 p.m. on Wednesday. That's open to season ticket holders. We can RSVP and we can ask him tactical questions about goals that we have scored, etc. So are they trying to set up a Coach Razov next? That's
dude, come on. He's the de facto hire to the Dolotron. And if it's not broken, why would you fix it? You know what I mean?
Yeah. The only other reason that, the positive thing why Dolo announced it early is that to put the word out there that we will need a new coach. And with the European season ending, maybe there's going to be coaches out of a job that might want to take 6 months off and then come to, one of the marquee franchises in the United States in one of the best cities.
It's really bizarre. My head hurts about it. Gaston, before we get out of here, and I want to thank you very much for stopping by and being a part of our show. I know there's a time difference and such, but I really appreciate you being here. You're excellent. You're an excellent commentator. You know a lot about football as well as our team, so it's very good to have you here. But before we get out of here, man, talk to us about what Eric just said, just a little bit. What do you think of that?
Sorry, my internet connection was.
Eric, tell him what's up.
So we got a season ticket holder email that Coach Razov is going to be doing a Q&A on Wednesday.
Yeah. Sorry,
do you think we're preparing for Razov to take the reins?
No. I hope we're not. Honestly, I hope we're not, because we kind of went through the Dolo as being the Las Vegas coach and then the LAFC coach. So yeah, I want something new. I mean, we already had this Dolo process.
Why new? New is not necessarily good. Look at Schmetzer. Steady. So my counter argument is this. He's been here since 2015, and for the most part, we've been a winning franchise since. Razov said fucking mind of the game. He's never had a chance to be a head coach, and he's been nothing but loyal to this club. So I'm not saying he's the man for the job, but he certainly is his job to lose. And I would like to see him be on the pole position for that job, which would mean continuity, which means we crush it this year and he's going to take it from there. That's how a lot of the good coaches started in Brazil and elsewhere. You know what I mean? So, I think that this is the formula. And if Razov proves, if Dolo takes this team far, I think it's Razov's job to lose. Why would you go get some expensive guy when you can just promote from within? It could go wrong, but I think he's going to be the coach.
Sure. But I think the other side of this argument is going to be that this club needs to have ambition to get like a big name out here. I think Razov, I agree with you. I think Razov, his continuation, we have done well. I think a lot of our issues have been in the big games, and it was like that with Bradley, and it's been like that with Dolo. And, he's been there with both. So suddenly promoting him, is this going to suddenly make us better in the big games and in the finals? Maybe it is, maybe it isn't. But I think where he's going to have a lot of trouble is with the longtime fans looking at this saying, hey, this club needs to think bigger. They need more ambition. And, that's not necessarily a fair shake to Razov, who I'm going to support whoever the coach is. If it's Razov, I will support him and give him a chance myself.
Yeah, for sure.
But I think a lot of LAFC fans are not going to be as charitable as we are about this. So
I know they all want the hottest Mexican name.
Tata Martino,
André Jardini to step out of Club America and come coach us in Major League Soccer with its salary cap restriction and all this shit that they don't understand, and they're all going to blow up. So I don't know, man. I'm like, I think coaching in MLS, it's good to rotate guys because they get to see, players in different lights. But for the most part, for every 10 coaches that start, one succeed or two. You know what I mean? It's like a 20% success rate. So if you're going to switch it in Major League Soccer, you better be very, very certain of what you're doing. You do not want to be Carson. Look at them. They can't even get out of their own way. My God, that team's a dumpster fire. You know what I mean? Like, let's not even try to be them in any way, shape, or form. Let's not try to change coaches. Let's just be Schmetzer-like. Just keep it going what you have. Coaching is secondary. But look, guys, thank you so much for being here with me. I know I ramble at times. I had a little bit more ramble in me today because, there's a lot in my mind, and I appreciate you guys listening to me as well. I like to play host, but I like to talk too. But with that, it's the end of our show. Appreciate you, Eric, being here. Hope everything is good with you in Oklahoma City. And like I said, if you don't want to miss next week's show, we'll have packed jam agenda, 2 games. Hopefully we'll get some guests from the other teams to stop by. I'm working with someone for the Galaxy, so it would be fun to have a Carson fan podcaster join us. So there's a lot going on. Please join us next week, and don't forget to subscribe as well on YouTube and on Twitter. Thank you so much, Eric and Gaston, for being here. It's been a pleasure. Section 128, LAFC, baby.
But he's going to pin his ears back. Now he plays Ebobisse. The break.